Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. This is episode 318. Hope you're all doing well today, despite all the craziness going on in the world that may or may not be affecting you here on this side of the pond. 2 wars, good God. Hoping some really smart people are able to step in and moderate some peace in these regions and put an end to it all. Not that you can reason with terrorists, mind you. But hey, this show is not about politics or religion, thankfully. But I felt weird not at least acknowledging what's going on and hoping that all of you listeners out there are doing okay. We do have a great Tech It Out show planned for you this hour, and perhaps we'll take your mind off of current events. I'm in my hotel room in Seattle right now, visiting Amazon, and they'll be on the show next weekend talking about drone deliveries. Very cool. But I did put together a stellar show for you right now as well. First up, we're going to learn about a flying car. Speaking of drones, we're going to learn about a giant drone that you can fly. We'll talk with the company called Jetson about its Jetson 1 personal aircraft with vertical takeoff. There are some limitations, as you can imagine, but we'll get the deets on that in about 60 seconds. Also on the show today, I'll share some smart home innovations that I talked about on TV last week, ranging from money-saving water sensors and smart deadbolts to protect your home, to an app that lets you know if someone left the fridge door open, to the world's first wireless OLED TV. And finally, on Tech It Out today, and speaking of smart homes, we'll also touch base with Breville to learn about its new Barista Touch Impress. It's a high-tech espresso machine for your kitchen that also makes a mean latte, Americano, cappuccino, and more. So we'll end off today's Tech It Out with a chat about this tasty and smart appliance. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out. Let's kick things off. While it may sound like science fiction, Jetson will be the first to market with its flying car, called the Jetson 1, billed as a safe and fun personal electric aerial vehicle, with deliveries earmarked for 2024 at about $100,000 a pop for those who want to put down a deposit. Investor and customer will.i.am, yes, from Black Eyed Peas fame, will also train to become a Jetson pilot. Joining us to talk all about Jetson 1 is Ricard Steiber. He is a senior board advisor and investor with the company as well. Good to chat with you again, Ricard.
Great to be here, Mark. Thank you for having me.
I've interviewed you for an article tied to another company that you're involved in, Good Trust. And so before we talk about Jetson, please tell our listeners a little bit about your work leading up to now.
Yeah, so Good Trust is a company that helps you protect your family and legacy. And I started the company after unfortunately, my father passed away. And I discovered that people have absolutely no idea what happens to their digital stuff when they die. So I found out that there are 30 million dead people on Facebook who, sending awkward birthday reminders. And if something happens to a loved one, for you to find their financial accounts or even get their photos out of, Apple or Google Photos is nearly impossible. So with Good Trust, you can essentially create your will and your trust, and you have a digital vault that will keep all of your important assets in easy to find for your family.
Mm-hmm. I love when tech solves a problem. And so this is great. Yeah. What's the website for Good Trust for our listeners who want to check it out?
Yeah, it's mygoodtrust.com, mygoodtrust.com.
Great. And so you're a serial investor and entrepreneur. So tell us about Jetson. You are seriously looking to launch a flying car next year?
Yes, absolutely. So I love this, trying to explain this on the radio, but if you visualize a Formula One car that I think most people have seen, and instead of the tires, you essentially have propellers. So it is a drone, like a toy drone, but it's a large toy drone that you can sit in and fly. Here in America, there is a class called ultralight aircraft, which, you've probably seen paragliding and a little sort of delta wing flying around sometimes. So you can actually fly this vehicle, the Jetson 1, without the pilot license. We will train you, of course, but for most people in their lives, they've all dreamt about flying at some point. I was a kid and I want to put on my cape and fly out and save, everyone. And now it is within reach. There's 700,000 people or so who have a commercial pilot license, but it takes a lot of time and money, and so people don't get around to it. But with the opportunity for everyone to fly, we do think that there's a significant opportunity. So now through new drone technology, electric battery technology, and of course software that makes you fly very easily. You don't actually have to be a very good pilot. The computer kind of helps you take off and land and go where you want to go in an easy way.
And just to be clear, you don't need a runway, right? This is an eVTOL, so that's like an electric vertical takeoff vehicle.
That is absolutely correct. So you can imagine that kind of drone that you have in front of you, and you have one lever on your left hand, which kind of you pull it back and you fly up, and then the joystick in your other hand is kind of you point where you want to go. So it's super easy to fly. You don't need a runway, you don't need a pilot license, and actually, if you let go in midair, the controls it will just stop and self hover like a colibri. And if there's a wind gust coming, the vehicle automatically self-stabilize so that you're fixed in the air, so to speak.
I will ask you more about the safeguards in a moment, should something happen mid-flight. But just to go back for a moment, so you're saying that as early as next year, someone that can afford to pick this up, we will again confirm cost, that they could take off from their driveway, fly somewhere like to work, avoid traffic, and land safely. There must be, legislative hurdles and insurance issues and all that, no?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. So in order to fly without the pilot license in this ultralight categories, there are some limitations. And the limitations are the following. You can go maximum 63 miles per hour, which I can assure you is still an adventurous speed for you. Mm-hmm. You can go up to 1,500 feet above ground level before you hit the next sort of commercial airspace. And then the battery will last you approximately 20 minutes or 20 miles. And then you can only fly during daytime. You can only be one person. And you cannot fly in cities. You cannot fly at airports. You fly in something called unregulated airspace. So think, the beach, the lake, the ocean, the vineyard, the golf course, basically where if you needed to land, you wouldn't land on people, essentially. Okay. So those are the limitations.
So that last one seems to be the biggest one, I guess. If you live in, downtown New York or even a suburb of Chicago, if it's somewhat residential of an area or anything like that, you can't.
Yeah, so the reason is that if you're in a city, it's called regulated airspace, which means that there are multiple vehicles in the air. So you need to be in contact with the tower, so to speak.
Yeah, sure.
And then you can fly there, but then you need a pilot license. That's one of the requirements to fly in regulated airspace. So I think most of our customers, we sold over 300 right now. Most of our customers are using this for recreational. So they will go along the ocean. They would fly over forest, vineyard. So it's more for recreational. Some of them people live, maybe they have a large boat or they have, as you said, a cabin or something. So I would say today the customers are recreational. Over time, we do think that this will be a great use case for, ambulance, police, first responder, military, logistics, and things like that as well.
And maybe one day in those cities that have like ridiculous traffic, like say LA or in Canada and Toronto, that you could fly from point A to point B once everything's all approved. Who knows when that will be, but that would be awesome. Yeah.
Definitely. You'll have lanes in the sky, just as in the cartoon, the Jetsons.
Yeah. Great name, by the way. And speaking of a big name, will.i.am, he's involved. Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I think will.i.am, of course, he's a tech entrepreneur and very famous artist with the Black Eyed Peas, which I love. But he is actually a little bit of a tech geek. So he has spent a lot of time rebuilding everything from Bentleys to Tesla cars. So we met him earlier this year. And I think when he saw the Jetson, he was like a kid in a candy store. So it was love at first sight. So he came on board, not just as an investor, but also as a customer. And I think he is dying to get his own Jetson and fly very soon.
That's awesome. We are chatting with Ricard Steiber, Senior Board Advisor and Investor of Jetson. This is a company that is readying the Jetson 1, a personal electric aerial vehicle that will be available as early as 2024. It is $100,000 a pop. That's it only for early bird kind of sale. Is there another price that those who do wait would have to cough up?
Well, you cough up 10,000 as a first down payment, and then the next on delivery. I think the prices are probably going to go up, actually.
Right. It's kind of like a crowdfunded deal where if you're an early bird buyer, then you save. That's kind of the incentive.
Yeah, I think prices are going to go up.
And it's electric, I mentioned. So how long does that battery take to juice up?
Yeah, so it's like charging your electric car. So it will take you probably 35 minutes to fully recharge it. Mm-hmm. The way it works is that if you fly underneath the vehicle, you have these almost like cassettes that you can pull out and put, so battery cassettes. You pull them out and you put them in the charger, and then you insert a fresh pair. So it's sort of easy to swap out your batteries, and essentially, if you fly to your summer house and maybe you want to fly back directly, you can swap and fly back.
And just to be clear, you don't do that mid-flight. That's before you fly.
Doing it mid-flight would be a bad idea.
All right, we're going to continue chatting with Ricard from Jetson when we return on Tech It Out. Let me know what you think about this flying car. If you're on social media, I'll spell my name in a moment, but hit me up and let me know what you're up to and tell me what you think of this topic. And if you've got any suggestions for upcoming guests or topics on the show, I'm all ears. So I'm on Twitter, which is now called X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and T2. It's Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman. So Mark Saltzman, I'm on all those platforms. Or if you just want to send me an email, that's fine. Head over to marksaltzman.com. MarkSaltzman.com. All right, we'll be right back to learn more about the Jetson 1 flying car coming as early as next year. Stick with us. More Tech It Out coming right up after this.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. We are chatting with Ricard Steiber, a Sweden-born but now Silicon Valley entrepreneur, and he serves as senior advisor and first external investor with Jetson, the company readying its personal flying aircraft as early as 2024, that you don't need a commercial pilot's license to fly. Yes, a flying car, just like the Jetsons, the Hanna-Barbera TV show from the 70s. will.i.am from Black Eyed Peas fame is also an investor. Before the break, Ricard, you were telling us about how you can swap out the batteries for extended flight time. Just don't do it in the air. But speaking of which, what happens in the event of an emergency in the air? Talk to us a bit about that. Is there like an emergency parachute? These are the kinds of questions that I think my listeners will have. What if it breaks? Because it is a machine.
Yeah. So this is the, like your Tesla car, software is, increasingly important. So I would say the secret sauce to safety is the triple redundant flight computer, which essentially helps you take off. It also helps you to land. It has a radar underneath so that you can always land safely. It will only land if there's nothing beneath you. It also has a LiDAR. Think of it as a different kind of radar behind you so you don't fly into something on the behind. To your point, it has a ballistic parachute. So if something were to happen high up, the parachute will save you. But actually, the computer is connected to there's actually 8 propellers, sort of 4 pairs of 2. So if it's sensing that something goes wrong, it will help you land immediately. And also if the battery performance will go down, it will help you land immediately. So you will have a nice little overview on a screen in front of you, similar to your electric car, that everything is as good as it should be. And if there are anything that senses any problem, it will help you to land right away.
What's the maximum weight?
So an ultralight needs to be ultralight. So the vehicle itself actually only weighs 90 pounds. It's super light.
Oh, wow.
It's made out of Kevlar and composites and aluminum. And then we add essentially 120 pounds or so of batteries. As an individual, you should ideally be 220, 230 pounds.
Okay, so under 230, yeah.
If you weigh more, it reduces the length of the battery because you weigh more. But as I tell some of my friends, I say that usually we will provide you with a weight loss program, and then of course you're highly motivated because if you don't lose weight, you can't fly. So
you have to team up with like a national exercise chain or something, or an app. Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
some sort of fitness.
We'll do that.
Yeah. All right, and then before we wrap up, how many years do you think, Ricard, that we will see flying cars and flying ride-share vehicles in the air and delivery drones bringing products to our door from Amazon or what have you? Is that something we're going to see in our friendly skies at some point? Is it a matter of when, not if?
No, I think it's already happening. As William Gibson said, the future is already here. It's not just evenly distributed. So I think the technology is, I live in Silicon Valley, so here you have already drone deliveries and you have flying cars and self-driving cars. So I do think that these kind of technologies, where they add a lot of value, it's not for the technology's sake, but where they add a lot of value, I do think that you'll see, all of this thing happening very, very soon. I think for us, the cartoon, The Jetsons, which is, vision of the future, I think at some point, you're right. If you're in Toronto or in LA, you will be flying in the sky above that traffic. But it will probably take, 10, 15 years from now.
And you might have a Rosie the robot cleaning your home at the same time. How awesome is that? Not just a Roomba.
I'm sure Elon Musk is working on that as well.
No doubt he is. As we wrap up, Ricard, it's $10,000 deposit and it'll be about $100,000 in total if you buy it to now. Is there a cutoff for that low price?
Yeah.
And where can we learn more? Where's the best place? Is it the website that you mentioned?
Yeah, I think if you go to Jetson.com, you'll see our vehicle. And if you just Google Jetson 1, there will be a lot of very exciting videos for anyone to watch. So stay in touch and hope we'll take you flying soon.
Awesome. Ricard, thank you so much. And congrats on the official announcement for Jetson 1 availability. Jetson.com for more. Thanks again, Ricard.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you were interested in Ricard's other company, Good Trust, that's the digital legacy service. It's at mygoodtrust.com. Don't forget, coming up on today's Tech It Out, we also chat with Breville. They're the folks behind the Barista Touch Impress, a high-tech coffee machine for the home, and many other appliances. And then I'll also share, coming up in our next segment, in fact, some home smart home ideas to add some security, peace of mind, savings, or convenience to your home, or all of the above. You are listening to Tech It Out on the Radio American Network. I want to thank Slickdeals for partnering with me on this program. Slickdeals.com, or the app or the browser extension, brings together a community of millions of deal hunters who all find and vet and vote on the best deals you can find online or at retail for a variety of products, always showing you the best deals. I love signing up for deal alerts if you've got something that you want to buy, but you just don't want to spend the kind of cash that it costs today. Just add the keywords and it'll push a notification to you when it hits a certain threshold, when what you're looking for is on sale. I'm a Twilight Zone collector, and there are some discs and books and all that I've saved literally many hundreds of dollars on over the years when Slickdeals pings me and tells me that there's something that I've had my eye on for a lot less than I wanted to pay for it. So great stuff there. Slickdeals.com, especially leading up to Black Friday and Cyber Monday and into the holidays. You'll save a ton of cash with that website, app, and browser extension. Again, that's slickdeals.com. When we return on Tech It Out, as promised, I'll share some smart home innovations, including a water sensor that can detect moisture and alert you immediately to the problem before it causes a lot of damage. We'll talk about smart locks to protect your family, your home, and its contents, and a lot more. More Tech It Out coming right up after this.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. So as I mentioned earlier in the show, I started going on TV stations to chat about smart home technology. I know it's not a one-size-fits-all scenario. You know, you may not need smart lights or want them or a Wi-Fi enabled door lock and all that, but there are many benefits to them. I thought I would share a few of the items that I chatted about on TV. Some are tied more to security, others are for convenience, and some devices can save you money and give you some peace of mind, which is where I'd like to start. I'm referring to the Moen Smart Water Network. So this is a collection of smart products that are all brought together in a single app. For example, you could be notified if your Moen Smart leak detectors sense moisture wherever you've put them, like in a basement or any other vulnerable areas of your home, and they will push a notification to you if it senses anything, so you can minimize any damage done by getting on it really quickly. Even if you're away, you can be pushed a notification to your phone, so you can have someone go over there and investigate. As you likely know, water damage is the #1 home insurance claim. Also from Moen is called the Flow Smart Water Monitor and Shut Off. As the name suggests, not only does it tell you if there's a leaky pipe in your home or frozen pipe, a burst pipe, or maybe a child left a faucet running, it will turn off the water supply for you as well as notify you. Super smart. Moen also has smart showers, for the perfect temperature, touchless faucets with a wave sensor, and outside your home, a smart sprinkler controller and smart soil sensors that will water your lawn when and where it needs it. So it saves you money on your water usage as well. Hey, I should mention I'm not going to give out any prices on the air today because it could vary greatly depending on sales or where you're listening to this in the country. But you can always search for the company name and the products that I'm chatting about for you to get up to date and current pricing in your area. And speaking of the outside of your home, the Schlage Encode Plus Wi-Fi enabled deadbolt and smart Wi-Fi lever, which you can put on, say, a side door, or maybe you've got a live-in caregiver, put it on their door. They're smart locks for your home that let you lock and unlock the door in several ways. So there's an app, there's a keypad, so supporting up to like 100 codes. You can use your voice inside your home if you've got a smart speaker to lock the front door, for example, before you go to bed. Or if you want to send someone an e-key, an electronic key, temporarily to a contractor, a babysitter, a dog walker, you can grant them access into your home via their smartphone on a given day of the week or certain times of the day of the week even. I love that. That's called an e-key. And along with the Schlage Home app, there's advanced security with built-in alarms. There's time-stamped logs so you can see who's coming and going, easy installation, and more. If you're looking for a service that folds in many of these technologies and supporting tons of different devices, the Samsung SmartThings app gives you a seamless and reliable and connected experience across hundreds of brands and products, not just Samsung items, to save you time, money, and aggravation. So it's all in the SmartThings app. You can tap to schedule your compatible washing machine to only run during off-peak energy hours, for example, or you can be notified on the app if the fridge door was left open. You can change the color of your smart lights, adjust your thermostat settings even if you're not at home, or see who's at your front door on your TV. I love that interconnectivity between everything. Samsung SmartThings app is free, which you can download from the App Store for iPhone and iPad or the Google Play Store for Android devices. If you're just joining us now, I'm talking about some smart home innovations. Some can save you money, some can offer security. Most of them add convenience because you can use an app or your voice to control a lot of this. I wanted to talk about a couple of fun ones. If you're a coffee lover like I am, don't forget we do have that full-length interview with Breville in a few moments from now. But let me tell you a little bit about the Barista Touch Impress now as part of this smart home segment. The Barista Touch Impress from Breville is an extraordinary espresso machine. It's a small countertop appliance for your kitchen. It does also make lattes and cappuccinos and Americanos and more. Plus, it grinds the beans for you, which some other machines do as well. And there's a built-in milk frother, but it's the first to support non-cow milk as well. So oat or soy or almond milk, and the temperature and length and intensity of the frothing will vary depending on what what kind of milk you use. So very cool. I love the color touchscreen. It also learns your preferences. So for me, I like a double shot in my latte. So a little bit more coffee, not just so much milk. It will learn over time, and you can program your own icon to have your own custom cup of joe, which I really like a lot. For those in the market for a new TV, this is amazing. It's the LG OLED Evo M3 series television. It's the first wireless TV, except for the power cord, and I'll explain how it works in a minute. But these are huge OLED TVs, so 77 inches or 83 inches. But instead of connecting your devices to the TV itself, your cable box or your video game console, or if you still have a Blu-ray player or anything like that. Instead, you connect it to what's called the Zero Connect box somewhere else in the room, and it'll wirelessly transmit up to 4K 120 hertz video across the room, and of course audio as well, up to 10 meters away to the TV. So it's got this minimalist approach, no fuss, no muss, if you will. And again, these are gorgeous OLED TVs to begin with. It is the 10th anniversary of LG's OLED TV technologies. Well, there you have it, a look at some smart home innovations. And if you'd like to learn more, again, just do that web search for that company name or hit me up on social media. I gave out my info earlier, so I'll just quickly say it again. It's Mark Saltzman, MarkTzman, and I'm on all the big social platforms if you need some clarification or more info about these products, or if you want to see them in action, I've got videos up there as well. Before we continue on with Tech It Out and I interview Breville about its Barista Touch Impress, I just wanted to give a shout out to Visa. Thank you for your support on Tech It Out. We do cover cybersecurity a lot on this program and how you can best protect yourself in the digital age, even if you're not super tech savvy. And one part of the solution is securely shopping online. And so I am thrilled about my partnership with Visa on Tech It Out, as they've made some significant investments in fraud prevention over the past 5 years. How much, you ask? How about $10 billion? That's billion with a B, all to support Visa's brand promise to protect the financial information of individuals and businesses. Zero liability means peace of mind when you shop online or at retail using your Visa card. There can be no half measures when it comes to cybersecurity, which is why the company takes an aggressive and multi-layered approach to combating the rising threat of malicious software and other threats by well-funded and global criminal enterprises. Read more about Visa and how securing the world's payments is priority one at visa.com/security. That's visa.com/security. And what I like about that website, by the way, is that all these tips that they share, this advice, is all in plain English, like I try to do on Tech It Out, where my goal is to break down geek speak into street speak. They do the same thing when it comes to cybersecurity. All right, as I mentioned, our last interview on Tech It Out will be with Breville, coming up right after this.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. A little earlier in the program when I talked about smart home tech, I mentioned the Breville Barista Touch Impress, but I am very much looking forward to this full interview about it with Breville to shed some light on what makes this cool. If you take your coffee seriously, as I do, know that today's machines for the home are getting really good. And personally, I love when a little technology can help too. Joining me to talk about the Barista Touch Impress from Breville is Corinna Odorico. She's product expert at Breville, a leading company in small kitchen appliances, of course. Welcome to the show, Corinna.
Thank you so much for having me.
And it was great to meet you earlier in the summer at your showroom, and you gave me an awesome walkthrough of the Barista Touch Impress before I started to use it in my own home. Thank you for that. It was great to meet you.
It was wonderful to meet you. It was great to have you in our showroom, and please come back visiting us anytime.
Twist my arm. You got it. That was really impressive. Not just the Barista Touch Impress, which we're going to focus on mostly today, but there were so many other amazing small appliances for the kitchen. All right. So before we talk about that model, please tell us about Breville and what products you're best known for.
Wow. So Breville is a premium brand, and it was founded in Sydney, Australia in 1932, but it's been in North America for about 20 years. We started out in radio business and then shifted to small appliances. It is an iconic global brand. It enhances people's lives by developing products that are simple, thoughtful, and engaging. I know you asked me what were we famous for, so maybe you'll remember. The most famous and iconic Breville product developed was the scissor action snack and sandwich, which was in 1972.
Oh, wow.
So maybe you'll remember commercials because there were a lot of copycats afterwards, but the design of the sandwich press crisped the exterior of the bread, melted the middle, and it cut the sandwich in triangles all at the same time. So if you remember maybe those infomercials, the copycats that were creating their own sandwiches with apple slices or ham and cheese, those kinds of things. So we were the first ones to create that product, and it would cut the sandwich in triangles. But we were also developing many other world's firsts, like the first domestic panini press or the first indoor barbecue grill. And then we started developing unique features like the lift and look, which is on our toasters where you can check the brownness level of your toast without shutting the heating elements off, or the famous a bit more button, which is on our toasters and now our ovens, that if your food results are not quite to your liking, you just tap that a bit more button and it will continue the sequence and cook and extend the cooking time just a few more seconds.
It's like a snooze button.
Exactly. Yes. And then the most famous one, which is close to my heart, is that we developed a juicer with wide open feed chutes so that you can juice whole fruits and vegetables without having to cut them into small pieces, which is a very daunting task for some users making juice.
And that sounds like a real time saver as well. And speaking of copycats, what would you say separates Breville from other small appliance makers? I have the Breville Joule Oven Air Fryer Pro, by the way, which I love. So I would say it's like a combination of like the build quality and the smarts.
For me, the unique thing about Breville, and one that makes me very proud to be part of this brand, is that we don't just put products into the market. The products have years of research and development behind it. They're well thought out. They're well tested and retested. They're engineered to absolute perfection. And we're about solving kitchen challenges and problems with simple moments of brilliance. We often think of the food result first, and then we develop a product around that food. And overall, we just want to make people's lives easier, enjoyable in the kitchen, just to do things and tasks that are a little quicker, so that you can spend more time with your family and your friends.
Love it. All right, Corinna, now let's pivot and talk about the Barista Touch Impress. I know this is not your first coffee machine, but tell us what makes it cool.
Yeah, the Barista Touch Impress is our most recent espresso machine to hit the market. It's an espresso machine that guides you from bean to cup in the most easiest way, using the latest innovation, which is the Impress puck system. It has barista guidance and also the automated milk feature with alternative milk settings. Some consumers that are new to coffee may find coffee making experience challenging, right? The key to great coffee is to start with freshly roasted beans, and this is the best advice I can give anyone new to coffee. So you want to start with freshly roasted coffee that has a roasted on date, not a best before date. So try to avoid your supermarkets and get in touch with a local roaster. And roasters have subscription services that you can purchase online if it's very far from you, and you can also start shopping all over the country. There's so many wonderful roasters from Vancouver to Quebec, all over the place. So start with freshly roasted coffee. But going back to the Barista Touch Impress, what we did was create a machine that replicates cafe quality at home. So you start with fresh coffee. You'll want to grind the coffee beans fine enough to extract the coffee, dose 18 grams of coffee, tamp with 10 kilograms of pressure. But many people are like, what? Like, how do I do that? And how do I do that well? And then we don't want them to feel intimidated with the machine. So what we did was simplify the process. And we developed the Impress puck system that automates the grinding, dosing, and tamping. But we did leave the tamp lever as a manual operation so the consumer can still engage with the product. Plus an interactive touch screen with barista guidance to help the consumer step by step.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you more about that touchscreen in a moment, Corinna.
Okay.
But we need to take a very short break. You are listening to Tech It Out. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. This program is powered by Slickdeals.com. Get the best deals on anything you buy at retail or online at Slickdeals.com. We'll be right back. Stick with us.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We are chatting with Corinna Odorico. She's a product expert at Breville, of course, a leading company in small kitchen appliances, from smart ovens and juicers to now we're talking about having your own espresso machine in the home, and you really do feel like your own barista, which is pretty cool. And just a heads up, we aren't going to mention pricing during this interview because it could vary, and this is going to run in a couple of different countries. So we'll plug a website soon where you can learn more about the Barista Touch Impress and other products. But yeah, the process is super easy. Just put the beans on top, as you mentioned, press a button on the screen for what kind of coffee you want, pull down the lever, and then it does its thing. It's that easy.
Yeah. First, you're selecting your coffee type. So if you went and selected your cappuccino, you ground your coffee into the portafilter. You take your portafilter over to the brew head, and then you extract the coffee into the cup. It instructs you. So the touch screen is interactive and guides the consumer step by step. So those kinds of tasks become a little daunting or scary to who's new to creating cafe quality at home. But the touchscreen really has that interactive guidance so that the consumer knows what to do step by step. And then once that's done, you can heat and froth the milk. And it's one operation is done after the other, but you can set it up in queue so that it'll be ready to heat and froth the milk just after it's extracted the coffee.
Yeah, that's how I do it. And something you hinted at earlier, Corinna, is that even if you like different kinds of milk, like let's say oat milk or almond milk or what have you, you can even select that with the touchscreen, which means that the temperature and or frothing intensity or length could vary because it's actually tailoring it to the kind of milk or percentage of fat that you're going with. It's so neat.
Yeah, that's right.
Before the break, Corinna, we were talking about how this Barista Touch Impress lets you even select different kinds of milk. So it's not just cow milk, but alternative options as well. And it varies how intense or how hot or how long that the frothing process takes. Very smart.
That's one of my most favorite parts of the machine is the hands-free automated milk frother, and it has the alternative milk settings. So another world's first for Breville is creating this automated milk frother that can heat and froth oat milk, dairy, almond, and soy. And the software calibrates the steam wand to deliver the right amount of air, and the onboard temperature probe measures the temperature to ensure that the milk does not overheat. Because as you mentioned, non-dairy milks lack the protein structure, lacks the fat content, and also sugar to be able to mimic what dairy milk does to create that beautiful microfoam. So each milk behaves differently, and we tested and calibrated each one to ensure that in the end you get that ultimate microfoam, so which is ideal to create that beautiful latte art that everyone strives for. But it has that beautiful mouthfeel as well.
And you taught me how to make little designs on top of the cappuccino as well, which is pretty cool. One more thing about the color touchscreen, Corinna, is that you can also customize the setting. So for example, at my house, it says Mark Latte, and it knows that I like to have the water go through twice just to give me more volume in my cup. And then I programmed another little icon that says Dad Americano, because my dad likes Americano. And I also was able to tweak what he likes with it. So it's like a one-touch thing. So I really like that kind of the freedom that you've got to make your own little icon on the touchscreen and it just let it do its thing.
That's awesome. I love that your family has their own preset drinks. So the Barista Touch Impress does come with 8 preset drinks, but you can also, like you mentioned, customize your own. You can customize up to 8 additional drinks, all with different icons so that you're just familiar with the icon. In the morning, you just tap. And there you can customize the length of the shot, how hot you want your milk to be, how much froth you want to add into it as well.
Now, I was really impressed with how easy the Barista Touch Impress was to clean, something I was a little concerned about ahead of time. But just like the Joule Oven Air Fryer Pro, it's super easy. Can you talk to us like a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it auto purges once you're switching from heating and frothing milk.
Yeah, cleans the spout, pushes water through the spout, right?
Exactly. As I mentioned before, the Impress Puck system contains all the coffee grounds inside the portafilter, so you won't see a mess on your drip tray, but everything is very easy to clean with a microfiber cloth. The drip tray is removable, so you can wash that, and also the water tank. And I also recommend doing a descale from time to time, as the machine components will build up calcium over time.
Yeah, like any coffee maker, yeah.
The interactive touch screen makes it really easy to follow. Everything is step by step, and it being interactive really breaks the barriers of trying to clean the machine or getting to know your machine.
All right, Corinna, so that's Breville.com to learn more. Thank you so much for your time. And hey, I look forward to seeing you at the showroom, hopefully sooner than later. All the best.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it appears we've run out of runway. That wraps up another episode of Tech It Out. Have a great rest of your day, a productive week ahead. And I look forward to catching up with you next weekend for another episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.